little tricky. One Westers have something called the 12 tribes chart. The 12 tribes chart takes the 12 tribes of Israel, matches them up with modern day people groups. I'll be specific according to this one. Benjamites, tribe of Benjamin, are actually Jamaicans and the brothers from the West Indies. Oh, don't laugh. You don't think God could predict or prophesy that? Well, did you know that the Bible predicts reggae music? Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Now, if you look at other translations, it'll say Benjamin's a ravenous wolf. But here's where it goes. What does a...
All right, Shalom. This is Hara 1 by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, Layahawa, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakah Kodash Ma'amaf. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. This is going to be a quick lesson dealing with Genesis 49:27. Benjamin being ravenous as a wolf, proven prophetically that Benjamin is the so-called West Indians today, or Jamaicans, you know, or the what you would call the Maroons. And I want to get into that, dealing with this topic. So let's dive in. Now it says here, these were prophecies that were placed on us that would show as signs that would follow us until the last days. All right. Even us being in slavery was part of the signs that would be upon us. You know. Now let me start here. Actually, it says here, Genesis 49:1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So it's going to befall who? The children of Israel, all right? His 12 sons. And it was prophetic. That which shall befall you in the last days. All right? Everything was prophetic upon the children of Israel. Even the menorah. It was prophetic for the churches. You know, the 7 churches of Asia Minor. All right. So, now it says here, Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel, your father. All right, so that's our progenitor, Israel, whose original name was Jacob, but his name was changed to Israel, meaning he's a prince of Yahweh, all right, a prince with power. So, this scripture in Genesis 49 speaks about one of those tribes, Benjamin, inheriting that power, all right. Now, it says here, let's get into it. It says here, Genesis 49:27. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All right, so that's a prophecy, because Jacob said it. He said, this is what's going to befall the children of Israel in the last days. So we know the name Benjamin in the Hebrew is Binyamin, which means son of the right. All right, he was one of the youngest. He was the youngest, and also they were known as the smallest tribe. But in prophecy and dealing with these last days, Benjamin played a major part, especially with Paul, even Saul fighting against the Philistines. All right, and with Paul, the prophecy, the teaching unto the Gentiles. All right, Paul being a Benjamite, and then these last days, the prophecies that were spoken of Benjamin ravening as a wolf. So we know to raven as a wolf, in the mindset we'll think of a wolf howling at the moon. All right, we know that means like the music, the Jamaican music. It's real prophetic. And speaking of, in the mindset of Jacob supplanting Esau, right? The word supplant means to take the place of a certain authority or ruler, to take their place, and that's what a lot of this Jamaican music or West Indian music is based upon, prophecy, and it's like, you know, like a wolf howls at the moon at night before it hunts and before it devours the prey. All right, and that's kind of that's what it builds up to. So let's dive into it. All right, this word Benjamin, okay, Banyamya, it says, shall raven as a wolf. Now that word raven means to plunder or eagerly plunder. All right, to tear or to plunder. So let's get it in definition real quick. 29:27, and it says here, shall raven, and it also means to plunder eagerly. It says to pluck off, pull to pieces, to supply with food, to be torn in pieces as of a beast, and that beast would be like a wolf. To provide food, right? So to tear off and to provide to the young like a wolf pack. So breaking off into packs and providing for the young, you know. So keep that in mind. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf, like a wolf will hunt at night, or will hunt in packs, and it will howl, it almost like a screeching, it's in a scary way, a haunting way, just like they call it roster music or Jamaican music, kind of haunts these Edomites. Speaking of revenge and overcoming the enemy, and they're the devil, and that America's Babylon, you know. So to raven as a wolf, and it says what? To tear. So when did that happen? You had something called the Maroons. Okay, let's get into that. I'm gonna get this real quick. This article. I'll screenshot it. It says in history, the Maroons, right? Now the word maroon comes from the word cimarron, which means to be feral. All right, like a feral cat or a feral wolf. All right, a feral wolf, which just means a wild or uncontrollable animal that just got free from captivity. Think about that. Now, at this time, when this prophecy started coming to pass, was approximately 1655 with the Maroons, all right, over in Jamaica. Before that, you had the Maroons of the Dominican Republic over there with Simeon. The word maroon just means wild, to break free, and then to be a wild, all right, and to be feral, or to be ravenous means to be ferocious, and to pluck off and to plunder eagerly, to provide for what's yours. And that's what happened. They broke free from the enslavement of the Spanish. In the 1600s, I think the Spanish ruled from 1493 all the way till 1655, 1656, because the British took over around 1655, and that divide in 1655 with Britain and Spain, these what was known as the Jamaican, what they call Africans, was really Israelites or Benjamites. They were able to break free and to run and hide in different areas. And in those areas, they created packs, just like wolves. All right, and they began to pluck off from Esau and to plunder them so they can feed their families. So the prophecy came to pass. And it was more than just them howl. It goes into them howling and singing, you know, of the haunts that Esau did to our people, especially in the sugar mills on the Isles of the Dominican Republic, Jamaica. Now it says here, it says the Maroons were escaped slaves. See, they broke free. Now let's get something real quick. I want to get this real fast. Let's see what the word maroon. Even though I just said it, I just want to show. Let's speak on it as I read it. All right. All right, this is the word cimarron. It comes from the word, the word maroon comes from cimarron, all right? And this is what the Spanish Edomites would call any Jake that broke free. They would call it cimarrones, which would mean, this right here, it says, from the Spanish, American Spanish, from an adjective literally to be wild and unruly. All right, it says, referring to unruly slaves who escaped to seek refuge. All right. So that's where it comes from. It says to be wild, to seek refuge in the brushwood or thicket, like wolves. All right. And the same thing, it says here, to raven means to seize by force. And that's what Jake was doing. That's what Benjamin was doing. They was hiding in the bushes, and they would seize Esau's stuff by force. All right, like raven and wolves. All right, which was really our stuff, but all right. So it says here the Maroons were escaped slaves. They ran away from their Spanish-owned plantations when the British took the Caribbean island of Jamaica from Spain in 1655. The word maroon comes from the Spanish word cimarrones, which meant mountaineers. So they ran into the mountains. All right, and that was in Jake's spirit to run into the mountains, you know, because the Lord told us that in 70 A.D. to run into the mountains. So let me get this real quick. It says here, even before Christopher Columbus arrived in the New World, slavery was already in existence. But it was Columbus who turned it into the worldwide enterprise and made it the basis for the New World's economic system for Spain, right? Before 1492, it was not uncommon for Indians to enslave tribes they defeated in battle, although most of the tribes lived in peace, right? Because a lot of the indigenous, the Spanish said, don't enslave them no more. Instead, they brought over us, you know, and dropped us off in the islands and in parts of America. So, and then you have people like Henry the Explorer. I read a book on him a while ago. So I want to read this too. Let's get into it. It says, as early as 1655, escaped Israelites, they say Africans, but Israelites, had formed communities in inland Jamaica. All right, see Jamaica. And by the 18th century, Nanny Town, and other Jamaican maroon villages began to fight for independent recognition. And even today, they got their own laws and their own fighting style with the swords. You know, just like Benjamin was known for being nice with left hand with swords. It says when runaway enslaved people, just called Cimarroons, meaning like Pharaoh or like wolves, and because they got something called the Pharaoh wolf, you know, and Amera Indians banded together and subsisted independently. They were called Maroons on the Caribbean islands. They formed bands and on some islands armed camps. Maroon communities faced great odds against their surviving attackers by hostile colonists, obtaining food for subsistence living. See that? They were doing that to obtain food. Like raving like a wolf to snatch food. As well as reproducing and increasing their numbers, just like a wolf pack, as the planters took over more land for crops. That was Esau. The Maroons began to lose ground on the small islands. Only on some of the larger islands were organized Maroon communities able to thrive by growing crops and hunting. Here they grew in number as more enslaved people escaped from plantations and joined their bands, seeking to separate themselves from the colonizers. The Maroons gained in power, and amid increasing hostilities, they raided and they pillaged plantations. They raided and they pillaged plantations and harassed planters until the planters began to fear a massive revolt of the enslaved black people. That's how bad the Maroons were, man. They was no joke. And they were pillaging and they were raiding those places, man, just like a wolf pack. Like a ravening wolf means to raid or invade violently and to pillage or plunder eagerly. And that's what Benjamin did. That prophecy was playing out, but the whole prophecy hasn't come to pass yet. Let's read it again. Genesis 49:27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. All right, so let's get this real quick. Deuteronomy. Let me get it on my phone so it'll be quicker. All right. Let's get Deuteronomy 28:48. It's Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which Yahweh shall send against thee. See, the Lord sent Esau against us. And we had to go to them in what? In hunger, see, for food, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. See, and that's what happened. So some of our people went asking, some of our people went in slavery, and some of our people began to plunder and rebel and fight back. And Benjamin was one of those tribes, or is one of those tribes today. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee, man. And he did that. And they destroyed us as a nation. And Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. And that's Esau's symbol, the eagle. And they put us into slavery quickly. And a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. They were speaking that Spanish or English tongue. A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until he have destroyed thee, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he had destroyed thee. All right, so that caused, Jake to snap. All right, so we had to go to them in want of everything. So Esau, Jake began to plunder them, and they were called maroons. This is Psalms 55 and 20. It says here, he had put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant, and that's what Esau did. They broke their covenant with Jacob, all right? Especially during the time of King Jehoshaphat. They made a covenant with us, and they broke that covenant in 586 BC. And that's Esau that later came against us in 70 AD, and then also started the slave trade after the Arabs in the 1400s. Okay, so they put their hands against us, you know. And we had to go to them for the want of all things, and they ruled from 1493 to 1656. All right, so now let's get into the rest of the prophecy, because it said Genesis 27 and 49 and 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. So now we should understand that. All right, shall raven, meaning they're going to get in packs and groups, go into the bushes in the mountains and begin to plunder at certain places against the enemy. All right, and take what they could, little crumbs off the table. But check this out. In the morning, he shall devour the prey. See, they're not going to win right now. But in the morning, what's the morning? In the kingdom. And that's really, as soon as the kingdom begins to start, Esau's going to be devoured by all the 12 tribes, but also Benjamin. So in the morning, in the kingdom of Israel, Benjamin's going to win and devour the prey. And at night, he shall divide the spoil, man. What's the spoil? All the lands and the riches that's going to be taken from Esau. It's going to be nighttime for Esau in that day. It's going to be hell for them, but day for us, you know. So in Esau's night, Benjamin is going to divide the spoil, and that's in our rest. All right, so in the morning he shall devour the prey. See, at first he was raving as a wolf with that haunting songs of freedom and revenge. We call it Jamaican music today. Oh, they say Rasta. I just don't like saying Rasta and all that, but and they howling, singing, crying out in preparation for a spiritual or battle against Babylon. And they had that rebellious spirit to where you had the maroons, you know. So now the Lord said, no, it's going to happen in the kingdom. No man shall buy us. Nobody going to free us. It's going to happen when Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai delivers us in the morning. All right, let's get some precepts. Let me get Jeremiah 50 and 33. It says here, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. And Esau took us captives, and we were all oppressed together. That's why the Maroons, a lot of the Jamaican Benjamite tribes mingled up with all the other tribes, with the Simeonites. Then you had the Mexican Wars, the Seminole Wars, you know, and we was all mingled together. It's called the Underground Railroad, which really it wasn't a railroad at all. It was just a system of freeing slaves from the south to the east, all the way to Jamaica and over to Mexico. It was all together, even as we are today, but still divided at the same. All right, but we're oppressed together. All right. Now, But it says this. Look at this. Look at Obadiah 17, 1 and 17. But upon Mount Zion, see, upon the government, meaning the elect, the church of Israel, which is going to consist of the 12 tribes, 12,000 from each tribe. It's going to be the men. Then you have the women and children. The men, women, and children. The 1/3. It's going to consist of the 12 tribes of Israel, spoken of in Revelation 7. It says this, Obadiah 1 and 16, for as ye have drunk, 1 and 17. No, 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been, man. So what they did to us is going to happen to them in the kingdom, in our kingdom, in Yahushua's kingdom. Esau is going to be the part of the spoil, the prey, and the land and the riches and the blessings going to be divided amongst the children of Israel. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. All right, that goes into Genesis 49, 27. And in the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. And that spoil is part of the lands. All right, and their possessions. Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. All right, and the house of Jacob also would consist of Benjamin, and the house of Joseph with the Latino tribes, and the house of Esau for stubble. They're going to be that prey. And they shall kindle in them. The kindle in them means to hotly pursue, like police on hot pursuit, and devour them. And they shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. That's after 1,000 years. For Yahweh hath spoken it, man. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they, which would be, I think, Benjamin. They dwelt in like South Palestine, but they're going to also inherit Edom. And they of the plain of the Philistines, see, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim. If I'm not mistaken, I think that'd be Simeon. But anyway, we basically gonna be dividing the lands up, you know. And the fields of Samaria, which used to be the capital of Ephraim, the Latino tribe, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead, man. All right, so I think that's Simeon and Benjamin. They're gonna get those areas. If not, I think it'd be Zebulun, if I'm not mistaken. I can go back and show it on another lesson. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, all those lands over there, which is called the Levant, all right, which is our land, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. And the saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yahweh's. So we're going to divide the spoil. And those saviors are the saints, which are one of those tribes going to be Benjamin. So it says what? Genesis 49 and 27. In the morning he shall devour the prey. All right, so they're going to be consumed. They're going to devour, kindle in them, and they shall devour them. That's what it said. They shall kindle in them and devour them. So that's when Esau is going to be devoured. And they're going to get their payback. And at night he shall divide the spoil. See, once we get into the rest of our kingdom, and Esau's in hell on earth, we're going to divide the lands amongst our people. Yahushua is going to divide the lands amongst our people. All right, so we'll get one more. All right, My family gets some. Zephaniah 1 and 14. This is Zephaniah 1 and 14. The great day of the Lord is near, it is near, and hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, see that morning. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. The day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. All right, so that's that day. A day of trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. So, that's part of that day. And part of the mighty man crying is Jake. Okay. Let's get I want to get real quick. This is Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble all the kingdoms, and to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So first Yahushua gotta get his. He gonna devour them first. He's the alpha wolf, the lion, the alpha male. So and the prey is Esau and the heathens. So but we're gonna get all this in the kingdom in the morning. Let's see what this is. Psalms. Psalms 149 and 1. It says, praise ye Yahweh, sing unto Yahweh a new song. And this new song is this refreshed song of deliverance that we're speaking, all right, of Yahushua, the testimony. And his praise in the congregation of the saints. The saints are Israelites. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Our king is Yahushua and King David upon the earth. Let them praise his name in the dance. We praise Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, and the dance is doing his work. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and the harp. And that's going to happen in the kingdom. For Yahweh have taken pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of Yahweh be in their mouth, and the two-edged sword in their hand. Benjamin is one of them tribes that's going to inherit this, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. All right? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgments that's going to be written. Thus, this honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord. And who are his saints, man? All right, here we go. Who are his saints? Psalms 148 and 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, and the horn means something that's exalted or tall at the highest point, which would be Yahushua. The praise of all his saints, that's Yahushua. Even in the saints would be the elect of Israel. Even the children of Israel, see that? A people near unto him. Praise ye the Lord. So who are his saints? Israelites. But of the Israelites, it's going to be the elect. All right. So I'm gonna get this real quick. So we know now through prophecy that this is coming to pass, and it's coming to pass. And in the kingdom, we're going to divide the spoil, which is what was taken from us and what's going to be inherited by the Israelites, and also taking these heathens into slavery. All right. Isaiah 14 and 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, see, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And strangers shall be joined with them. That's talking about the Gentiles. That goes into the Lord binding his ass to the vine and the colt to the choice vine. The colt would be the Gentiles, the Israelites. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. They're gonna be tied to each other, right, through the spirit of truth. And the people shall take them. So the Israelites going to take these nations. Esau going to be taken and bring them to their place. So they're going to be brought low into the caves. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow from hell, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. You see that, man? So this is going to happen. All right. So the hard bondage we were made to serve, like the Cameroons or the Maroons, they wanted to break free. Well, we're going to get freedom. If they wanted revenge, well, we're going to get their revenge. But revenge is of the Lord. All right, we're going to get it through Yahweh Shai when he brings in righteousness to this earth in that day, in the morning. It's going to be divided. Get this real quick. Speaking of dividing, the spoil. Look at Amos chapter 9, verse 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. See, the house of David, the house of love or order, men after the Lord's own heart, and close up the breaches thereof. All right, so the Lord's going to seal up the way that only elect can get in, just like with Noah and the ship. We're building a spiritual ark, and the only one's going to get in is the elect of Israel. That they may possess the remnant of Edom, meaning everything that Esau owned and has taken from us, and of all the heathen, so everything that they have taken from us as well. All right, and their descendants, which are called by my name, saith Yahweh that doeth this. I mean, they were called heathens by Yahweh. All right. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that the plowman, people like the Maroons or the Benjamites, shall overtake the reaper, the Spanish, the Edomites, and the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel. See, the Lord gonna bring it back into remembrance and repay them for what they did to us. And they shall build away cities, and the heathens gonna build it and inhabit them. So we're gonna inhabit the land, divide the spoil. And they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof, and they shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given them, saith Yahweh. So we're going to take the lands from the nations, and we're going to have our lands. All right, it's going to be divided amongst Israel and people like Benjamin. All right, so now it says, let's go back to the scripture real quick. I'll close it up. Look at Genesis. Alright, so like I had a phone call, but I'm going to end it there, man. Hopefully it's edifying. I'm going to end it with Daniel chapter 7, verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever. Alright, so you go back to Genesis 49 and 27. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. Alright, it means to basically eagerly plunder from the Spaniards, which are Edomites, and to feed their families, when they ran into the bushes and the mountains to run from slavery. And to be raven or to like a wolf, like the Pharaoh wolf, means to be wild, hunting packs. And the howl, give warning before it attacks, for in the night. So now in the day, it says what? And in the morning he shall devour the prey. In the kingdom, they're gonna overcome and devour the prey, which is these heathens. And at night he shall divide the spoil. So in Esau's night, in their hell, it's gonna be our day. We're gonna divide the spoil, which is the lands and the riches in these nations. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is that their father spake unto them and blessed them. Every one according to his blessings, he blessed them. All right, so this is a blessing that's given to Benjamin, inherited right.